First, every voice matters. Secondly, it's also about enhancing decision making. Thirdly, language accessibility. And finally, it's also about customer-centric approach.
Hello everyone, my name is Wesley Sutliff. I'm a product manager at Televic, and I am particularly excited about today's topic. I think that meeting equity is very much in line with Televic's vision for creating better understanding. And so I'm very, eager to kind of go through this topic, this presentation. There's going to be throughout some poll questions. So as we come into these questions, this is a great opportunity for you to give us feedback. We want to know, do you agree with what we're presenting for you? Where are your pain points? Where are your frictions? So please pay attention, and as those poll questions come in, feel free to respond. The session today is going to be about 30 minutes. It's not too long. We've done our best to present efficiently. But if you enjoy this webinar, you can always find this one and all of our previous webinars at televic.com/conference. Under the support tab under webinars, you'll find all of these. So with that being said, let's jump right in. You probably know Televic, if you know Televic at all, from these big giant institutions. We're a global company celebrating our 80th year. And yes, we do these enormous international and multilingual solutions very well. We're well known for being able to provide solutions at this level with very formal institutions. But we also have been pivoting with our smart audio control into these informal and particularly the hybrid meeting spaces. And that's what we're going to focus on today. But whether it's formal or informal, what you can count on Televic for is this ability to create better understanding. That's our mission. So for us, it's, whether you're doing Robert's Rules of Order in a very formal 27 language meeting, or you're a school board and you're trying to decide what curriculum will be for our children. These all are important to us. And today, we're going to be looking again at the corporate environment, how to create meeting equity. Because ultimately, while the boardroom has changed, the expectations have not. And the challenges that have been brought forward from having a hybrid environment is that if you're remote, you're not having the same experience as if you were there in person. It's just not the same. The technology that was set up for these spaces is primarily so that people who are in the room can have eye line with each other, they can hear each other sometimes. See some of our other webinars about that. But primarily they're designed for the room, the AV systems. And with hybrid, we really need to be designing for the individual and ensure that these in-room participants are not dominating visually or in the discussion. We want that engagement to be even, and it just simply is not. So how are we defining meeting equity? How are we going to be approaching the resolution to those challenges? Well, it's really around these three core elements, which is the visibility, the audibility, and the overall control. Because that, once you have those things, that is going to create that equal leadership, which we're defining as meeting equity. Now, first poll. In your hybrid boardrooms, where do you see the most participation friction? What's your biggest pain point there? Is it that the remote participants, they struggle to engage naturally? There's some kind of block there. Is it that the in-room discussion, their voices within the room are dominating that discussion? Is it the audio clarity? Is it depending on seat position? Do you have some seats, because of how maybe the mic arrays have been set up, some seats are better than others in terms of being able to participate? Or good for you, maybe you're a Televic customer already, you don't have meaningful imbalance. So please, there's a section down below in the lower right. Please do put those in there. I see that some have already done so. These polls will remain open, so if you want to come back to this one later and respond, but please do. We want to know your thoughts. Okay, here's our approach. It's not a replacement. We're not here to replace Teams or Zoom or WebEx or any, whatever platform you're using. And we're not there to really disrupt how the design element is done. We want to elevate. So we want to be able to take what was traditionally done for the room and start focusing on the individual so that it now becomes an equal experience, whether you're remote or in the room. And that could be true also to add some benefit to the in-room participants. They want to be able to see the remote participants. They want to be able to hear them. They want to be able to interact. And by the way, if you're in the room, maybe you want an individual mute control. You want to decide when you specifically are heard in the conversation, rather than just, hey, I'm in the room, so everyone can hear me no matter what. We want to handle all of that. So we do that by putting personal devices at each seat, individual cameras, dedicated microphones, I should say personal loudspeakers, I apologize. But then a multi-stream video with this active speaker logic. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, where because we're a discussion system, because we're more than just a mic and a loudspeaker, a monitor and a camera. Yeah, we have all that. And I'm going to go through that. But we know exactly when someone is speaking. We have all of that logic data built in. It was necessary to build that technology when you work in those big, giant, multilingual settings. So we have all of that already built in, and now we can apply it towards speech detection, logic-based camera switching, in the same way that we did with pan-tilt zoom cameras. Now we have that even on our own devices. So let's kind of jump in with the uniCOS core. Here it is. This is kind of an example. We'll look at a couple of different examples of what you might see on the device, but it's a very kind of sleek, minimalist design. We have tabletop. We do also have variations. I can go into that later, but the basic idea is that you've got that integrated camera right there, right at the top of the screen at the monitor that you're already looking at. Then you've got the microphone there. You've got the stem. We also do have low profile microphones. We have different lengths of the stems as well. And then you've got the built-in loudspeaker, and of course the big old video display. That's on a tiltable screen, by the way. So one of the things that I've noticed within the industry is that you've got to be able to adjust that. I'm much taller than some of my colleagues. And so if I sit down at our boardroom, I've got to, adjust that so the camera angle is right. Also really helps with glare. A lot of corporate spaces got a lot of windows, letting in a lot of beautiful scenery, depending on where they are. And yeah, you want to be able to adjust that so you get a good camera side. So it's all right there. It's all built into the same piece. And this makes it very versatile, because if you can imagine, you're in your meeting and I'm looking at my remote participants or a presentation that's being given. I'm looking right at the monitor in front of me in the same way that you might look at your tablet or laptop. And then when I speak, oh my gosh, the microphone is right there, pointed right at me. And the camera is right there, pointed right at me. So now I'm on camera, on mic, in the same way that I am right now, same way that I am at home. But I have that in the boardroom. Now, yes, I could look around at my colleagues, but when I come back to it, or if a remote participant starts talking to me, I see them right there. And so what does that look like in practice? Well, a typical boardroom, could be something like this, where, I'm going to see some of the screen, but because of my neighbor or just where I am in the room, maybe I'm not in line with the whole screen. But if I have the monitor right in front of me, great, I can see everything. And then the same is true for the cameras, just depending on, again, you get these beautiful glass rooms, like where are you going to put the cameras, where are you going to put monitors? You can't always get the best coverage for everyone. But if you put the camera right on the monitor, well, great, they can see right at you. And it's a nice direct shot, like we are right across the table from each other communicating. And that's what we're able to do. Now, the next part, and we've had that for a long time, by the way, but what has really helped with both Zoom, they did this first, where they allowed these multiple video signals to come in representing the room. And now Teams has started to allow this. It started off where this was what you're looking at right now was the standard integration. You'd have all the remote participants, and then I've highlighted in green who the in-person participant is. Now, whether that was coming kind of down at an angle from a pan-tilt zoom, or in our case, coming directly off the uniCOS core, you had a direct shot. But until Zoom and Teams had added these feature sets, we were basically just cycling through one video signal representing the room. There could be 20 people in that room, but you're only seeing one person. Or if no one was talking, you'd cut to a wide shot. But what's really nice is that Teams, and Zoom has done this also, Teams has done this nice multi-window effect. Now, again, at the time of this recording for the webinar, the way they have it set up is that the remote person can cycle through how they want to see the room. So again, here in this example, if I'm the remote participant, I see all the other remote people in their squares. And then I see kind of a collage of the different video signals that we're sending in from the uniCOS. So all those green shots there, that's coming from the people who are actively speaking or who were recently actively speaking. With our smart audio control, with our speech detection, we can trigger on the cameras. And so you might be addressing the meeting, you've got the live camera, your colleague who's also in the room jumps in to ask a question. Now you see both of them. But as you start to respond, the camera is still with you. We still see them reacting to your response. And we can, as a remote participant, we're seeing that body language firsthand. I'm seeing that face react to whatever it is that I'm saying. Are they agreeing with what I'm saying? Are they disagreeing with what I'm saying? Are they getting frustrated? Are they getting happy? All those visual cues that come from our face, you want that direct shot. And what's really nice is that the uniCOS has up to 6 streams. So we can be sending up to 6 cameras out. Now we typically do 4, again, mostly because of Teams and Zoom, that being the limitation as of this recording. And but that's what you get. And then the user can cycle through, they can look at each one of the signals individually if they want. Again, that might change as Teams adjust their technology, but that's how it is today. But I think the real winner that I like just personally is how Zoom is handling this. Again, as of today, they don't just take one square and create a collage. They actually create individual squares for the different video feeds that go into that Zoom room. So what's nice about that is that everyone's getting more equal real estate. So if you're the remote participant and I'm looking at my Hollywood squares, I see the in-room participants with the same kind of real estate, the sizing, everything sort of stays the same as all the other remote participants. And that's very much in line with the meeting equity. So if you're remote or in the room to the global meeting, you're appearing the same. Now, if nobody's talking, I'll talk later about some of the things that we can do within our video setup so that you can show the wide shot and you can start making decisions about what you want to do. A lot of questions I get are, okay, well, how many of these squares can I get? So there's a little bit of, there's what Televic can do within our own streams, and then there's what the platforms can do. Right now, Televic has up to 6 video streams. That means technically we could send out 6 different camera shots at the same time. And now they could dynamically change, but we could send up to 6. But the platforms would then have to be able to receive those 6, which right now they don't. But again, that could change. We follow along closely with what the platforms are doing, whether that's Teams or Zoom or WebEx or others. And we try to make sure that our technology is going to follow along with what they're doing. So if they're looking to get more streams, we're going to look at how to get to more streams. But right now it's 6 from us, and then 4. And I think Zoom may have gone to 6. So please do check with those platforms so you know where they're at, what they're capable of. But the key to all of this, the main point I'm trying to get across here, is that equal experience that's happening Because at home or in our remote locations, we've got this setup where I've got my monitor, I've got my camera, I've got my mic, and I've got my speaker system. And I'm having this unique and individual experience. And so for the people in the room, you want that to be the same. You want them to be able to have that camera, have that mic, have that loudspeaker, have that monitor all right there in front of you. And then collaboratively, whether you're looking down at your uniCOS monitor or you're at home, you're looking at your own monitor, you're looking at the same information. You're having an equal experience. And that's exactly what this enables. So by putting the uniCOS core individually in front of each person, you're changing the psychology of the meeting. The remote executives, they're regaining that same visual experience. It's the same thing we all got used to, and thankfully we're able to come back to the office. But you're sitting at your desk, you get used to the idea that I can see everybody. I want to be able to see everybody. I don't want to have to do this all meeting. If I'm in the room, I'm not going to do this the whole time looking up at my big flat screen, as beautiful as it is. And then my mic's over here, my mic's up here somewhere on the ceiling. This gets annoying. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to just have natural. And then maybe I look up at my colleague over here, but then right back to where everybody else is. And this becomes really natural as I talk to some colleagues and then address people who are remote and can make eye contact because this is where all of you are. That's ultimately what this is going to enable. The in-room leaders engage directly with everybody. Because the worst is, you're sitting in the front row and, hopefully my hair looks good back here. By the way, I don't know how this sounds. Maybe it's okay with the mic I have set up in here. But if I'm talking to my colleagues over here, you got to just stare at that. That's not good. No one wants that. So this is really what uniCOS core is changing. It's audible equity. So I talked about video. I want to talk about the audio side of this. Again, the microphone is there, the loudspeaker is there. And what that's really going to allow is that every microphone can be on. If you've heard me or my colleagues in previous webinars talking about smart audio and control, this is what I'm addressing now. It's this idea that we're going to have all the microphones on, because we know in a corporate setting, particularly, others as well, but particularly getting executives in the room, they don't want to think about the technology. They just want to be able to meet, be able to decide on policy or some kind of action plan or whatever has been the cause to gather up so many important resources. They don't want to be thinking, oh, hey, you're muted. Hey, we can't hear you. You're muted. Unmute your mic. All of that is a disruption. So what we've done is we've approached with hands-free. This is a part of our smart audio and control. We're currently on our gain sharing 2.0. So we've already been doing this long enough. We're on our second iteration. I have to say, this really is US focused. If you've experienced Televic from 2 years ago, even a year ago, you may have noticed that in hands-free, we were still kind of fighting this game before feedback. I am blown away even without a DSP. Now we still have DSP mode. You can route all these channels into the DSP. You can have that granular level of control and do with it as you would. You still have that choice. But I want to tell you that the hands-free of today, that our 2.0, I could crank this thing to my ears bleed, and we're still managing that game before feedback, keeping that feedback suppression while still maintaining a level of quality and intelligibility in the audio so that you can actually understand each other. All that to say, we're not this old school traditional, push to mute, push to unmute. We still have all that. But now we can come in up to 32 mics. You can put this in hands-free. You can distribute these uniCOS core around the boardroom. No one has to push a button. You walk into the room, you sit down, and you're able to just start talking. So the always-on microphones, the automatic level management, the natural conversation, and you still have individual mute. So one of the things I've learned over my career is, yeah, no one wants to push a button. They'll never push a button. They sure do want to be able to mute themselves, though. I think it's kind of unanimous in my experience that people have always wanted to make sure that they could decide when they're muted because of whatever reason. They need to say something to their colleague or they need to address something. They don't want that to be on the record or to the larger group. And that you still have. So even in hands-free mode, you can push and hold to individually mute your mic while conversation can still be happening. So all of that is possible with hands-free. And as I did mention, if you have a bigger room or you just want the granular control that DSP mode offers, do remember that we still offer that in the uniCOS core. We have an audio configurator. It allows you to take Dante channels in and out of our system. We have a Brooklyn 3 card. It's a full 64 by 64. The mic is an endpoint. The loudspeaker is an endpoint. The headphone jack is an endpoint. So all of that can be put into your Dante controller, routed to your DSP. So all of that still exists. Okay, next poll question. What is your primary microphone strategy in hybrid boardrooms? Are you going ceiling mic array? It's powerful. Ceiling mic arrays are an incredible game changer. Don't get me wrong. But they have limitations. They can have setbacks. They can have challenges. But is that what you're currently using? Or are you doing maybe a tabletop boundary or a pod? There's a lot of products out there that kind of extend the microphones onto the table. Or are you going individual wired microphones per participant? Or is it some kind of combination of that? These are really kind of different stratas of how visible is the technology. So it's that balancing point of you don't want to see it, you don't want to think about it, but at the same time, it needs to perform. Is good enough still good enough for you? So please go ahead. The poll is open. Make those choices and we'll move on. Remember that those polls will stay open. I want to talk a little bit about the architecture and integration. So I'm speaking now to the integrators, the consultants, the design IT teams who are really thinking about, okay, great. I have all those features, but how do I put it together? That's often as important as the actual functionality of the system. So let's talk about that real quick. So in the previous iteration, I think I've got, here we go. I'll just add all this now. The way that this works is, so down in the kind of lower right there, you've got our engine. That's the Plixus MME that goes on the rack. All of the red is our proprietary Plixus network. So you've got Cat cabling, shielded, Cat 5e or better. But no proprietary cables, no proprietary connections. It's all RJ45. You can see that we've done a loop with the uniCOS units. Note that one on the end there, that goes up and down. I'll talk a little bit about Arthur Holm in a moment. But all that is just connected itself. We provide power, audio, video, and control data across that. Then you've got the green line, which is our Dante. So we've got Dante, you have primary and secondary. So even though we're only showing one connection, we do have the full Brooklyn 3 card capabilities. And then you've got these V-in and V-out boxes throughout that drawing. So remember I said we have 6. So right now we're only showing 5. You could theoretically add another V-out box. It's an HDMI connectivity. So that UC platform in the middle, that's kind of generic. So again, and now there's so many. I was at ISE. Wow. Can you give me another MTR or Zoom Room device? But take your pick. Ultimately, we're focused on the ones that are being certified by the platforms to be able to offer all of this video capability that we're talking about. Remember that not all of these devices are built equally. So do check with the manufacturer, check their specs. How many simultaneous video inputs will they take? How many outputs can they give? All of that. So that's going to keep changing, and it's going to be based on the other manufacturers. But for Televic, we can provide up to these 6 streams. Right here, I'm only showing 5. I have 3. It says V out, so it's video out of Televic into the UC platform. And then I'm showing 2 coming out of the UC platform. Sorry, one coming out of the UC platform and one coming out of some in-room presentation system. So whether that's like Crestron Air Media or Barco ClickShare, or it's just some sort of HDMI cabling setup within the room. All of this, you can take the remote participants, you can bring that to the screen, or you could take presentation material, you can bring that to the screen. Individual users can bounce back and forth. Or a lot of times you just send, hey, here's the call, here's the Teams or the Zoom call. If people are presenting, it's shared there anyway, and you can see what's happening. So it's all based on HDMI connectivity to our boxes. Once it's at our boxes, it's all part of our proprietary Plixus network. Just so you know, it's JPEG 2000. It's less than 1 frame of latency. So what's really nice about this, and I've had some nasty experiences with other manufacturers that didn't quite solve for this, is that latency is that you get the audio and the video sync. What's really nice is if people are giving presentations and there's audio with it, it's lining up nicely with the whole rest of the system. So you're not getting this weird lag. It's actually really, really nice if you do have the big monitors throughout the space and the little monitors in front of each person. This is actually lining up, and you're not getting any kind of change between the two. But that's it. I mean, it's really simple and straightforward. There's nothing proprietary except for our network, and that's just for basic security. And it allows you to do all the things that we've talked about so far today. Now, if you have projects or if you have opportunity or you just want to learn more about this, I do recommend reach out to us. We're happy to get some of our technical sales consultants to sit down with you with a demo, whether it's in person or remote, and be able to show you this capability, be able to talk through all the details and questions you might have. Last thing I want to talk about just in terms of how this gets set up. What really blew me away as we were releasing this is this Confero video configurator. It's basically just setting up how to do everything I talked about. Now, I talked kind of at high level today about this dynamic video assignment. What we call that here in the presentation, it's that last input there, talking heads, just a fun internal name we have for it. But it's a dynamic video assignment. So what we're saying is essentially that you have these 4 streams that are going to be dedicated to outputting uniCOS camera content. Now, if my example, if you had 32 uniCOS units, we can't send simultaneously 32 camera signals, not yet. But we can send, in this configuration, up to 4. So which 4? Well, talking heads is that dynamic video assignment. What I'm not showing on this screenshot is that I have set as a possible source for each one of these is all 32 cameras. And it's based on our speech detection. So when we know that the mic is active, so for example, seat 5 activates their mic by the way, all they do is start talking. Once speech is detected, it goes, oh, there's someone there, activates the camera, and dynamically assigns camera 5 to, say, video stream for VOut 1. Now you've got mic 5 on VOut 1, that's being fed into the platform. Someone else starts talking. Now they're assigned to VOut 2, and it's this first in, first out. So as people start joining the conversation from within the room, they're assigned one of these outputs, which then flows to the UC system and occupies, if it's Teams, one of those little boxes, or Zoom, one of their boxes. And you're not kicking the other person out. So as you're having a couple of conversation, 2 or 3 people going back and forth, or if it's a little bit more chaotic, you have more. But you have all those people, and you can see them in their individual squares. Now note those orange boxes there at the top. That's if no one's talking, well, what do you show? That's if no speech is being detected, someone's just presenting from the far end, everyone's being respectful and listening, then maybe you take a wide shot of the room so you get to see the whole room. Now, this is just one potential setup. This is how we typically do our demonstrations, but you can get into this configurator. You could say, no, this is where the CEO sits. That camera is always live. We can always see the CEO no matter what. That's occupying one of the streams. It's not dynamic, it's always there. Or you might have a panel or a head table okay, here's the head table. Always at least someone from this will be coming out of this output. You know what square they're going to occupy in the platform. So you can start making these decisions. You can start grouping different people. You can say, oh yeah, this is the kind of priority seating. You can do all that kind of stuff. Now, again, we're talking about meeting equity. Everyone should be equal. But obviously, this tool allows you to start making those changes so that you can configure whatever your client needs. And what's really nice about it is there's no coding or anything particular. It's just kind of setting up just like an audio matrix, like here's my inputs, here's my outputs. And then you have these 6 streams that can be occupied at any given time. Again, if you want more detail on this, please reach out to us. We can do a demo. We can do a much more in-depth dive. And that's uniCOS core. It's equal visibility, it's the equal audibility, and it's the integration with the Microsoft Teams rooms and Zoom rooms. That is not going to, like the uniCOS core is not a replacement. It's that elevation of what the system design is already doing based around those Teams rooms and Zoom rooms, but not just letting the room represent the room, but letting the room represent the individual. That's what we're trying to do with meeting equity. And so before we all wrap up with everything, I want to give you one last poll question. So do check down there in the lower right. Which outcome matters most in executive hybrid meetings? Is it the clear audio and speech intelligibility? Is it the equal visibility for remote and in-room participants? Is it the seamless integration with the UC platform? Or is it the executive confidence and decision efficiency? So I'll let you respond there. Thank you to everyone for participating. So let's talk about next steps. Again, tell us about your space. What requirements do you have? I want you to reach out to us and schedule a demo. This is really cool stuff. We have an experience center. If you're in the DC area, you can come up and see us in person. You can see us remote. We also have this as a kit that can travel around the US. So we can actually come to your facility and set this up and let you experience the whole thing, both the in-room and the remote side of it. And then reach out to us, ask for a quote. Let's get involved. Let's find out how we can bring meeting equity to you. Thank you so much. I'll finish here by just saying, if you like this presentation, if you like the information that we're doing, or you want to learn more about what we're up to at Televic, please follow us on socials. And have a great rest of your day, morning, noon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us.